I think that we should probably get into the Who Would Win of the Week.
All right, I'm ready for that. It's
I think we kind of struggled to figure this one out because we had some disagreements on some other ideas, but I think the one that we settled on is actually pretty good.
Yeah, I'm ready to get into it.
And
but
I don't remember what it is.
I still, it's who would
I
win
do.
is Waldo versus Pistachio Disguisey, a.k.a. the Master of Disguise from the movie Master of Disguise starring Dana Carvey. So Waldo from Where's Waldo? and Pistachio Disguisey from Master of Disguise.
I have one side note first. I don't know if I've told you this. Have you ever seen that video where the guy goes to a bookstore and buys a Where's Waldo book, brings it home, and takes Waldo out of every picture and then returns it to the bookstore?
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's hysterical. Imagine being a little kid and be like, I can't fucking find Waldo.
I just imagine... I wonder if that idea came to him in conversation, because I just imagine it just sitting there looking up the sky and then kind of like, and then next thing you know, he's in his car heading to the bookstore.
Yeah, like I might as well do this. I have
like
nothing better to do.
that's an idea that God gives to you. That's not one that necessarily you just dig up and find. But in the fight between Waldo and Pistachio Disguisey, two guys who are obviously their skill is what? Blending in with their environment. That's the whole deal.
Intended skill. Pistachio sometimes
he does a little bit of but at the end of the movie, because
he gets very good at it, but like obviously the Turtle Club scene
makes him stand out a little bit,
just a bit. What am I am I not turtle enough for the Turtle Club?
Turtle Club.
But all right, so let's get into this. Waldo's a bitch, but also Pistachio Disguisey is kind of a bitch. So it's kind of the fight. That's their thing, is they blend in. It works better.
Is Waldo a bitch? Because Waldo seems to me as a guy who's just doing his own thing. He travels a lot.
My basis on saying that Waldo is a bitch, and this is coming from me of all people, is that he's just so skinny. Like Waldo in the Where's Waldo books is literally he might as well be Flat Stanley to relate him to another childhood book. Like he is a fucking twig.
Yeah, he's skinny, but if he's going up against Pistachio, also I don't like the skinny thing is not a factor for me when it comes to Waldo. Like I said, to me, Waldo seems almost like the closest thing to
the most interesting
man in the world. He's going around. He's just like he's floating on the breeze, man. He's Waldo. Pistachio is 100%.
Yeah,
but I love Pistachio,
but I think Waldo is too, though. I'm not disagreeing that he lives a very carefree lifestyle and floats through time and space like none other. But I also think that he is deathly afraid of conflict.
Ooh. Interesting.
I think that Waldo would, like, if somebody ever confronted Waldo, all he's gonna do is hide and then just zip over to Rome and hide and end up in the Colosseum and
somewhere in the stadium.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't think that Waldo. I think that this is how I imagine this fight is. Pistachio being the Master of Disguise, some way or another creates in his mind a vendetta against Waldo and goes after Waldo. So Waldo doesn't know this fight's coming, because I think if you pitch the idea to Waldo, like, hey, you have to fight this guy, I don't think he would say yes.
Okay, I can see that.
But that's what makes me think that
I want to believe in Waldo, because
I have no faith in Waldo.
But here's the thing. Waldo, to me, doesn't seem like a guy where if he is, on a very crowded beach and somebody is like, I don't know, gonna like harass a woman, right? Like some
Waldo ain't saying shit.
I think Waldo steps in. I think Waldo steps in. I believe in Waldo.
Waldo does not step in there. And I'm saying this also knowing that Pistachio is also like is a bitch, like,
yeah.
But at the end of the day, he gets the job done.
I guess so,
and Waldo actually at the end of the day has never gotten the job done because he always gets found. Eventually.
Okay, let's get a little... Okay, but he is found by us, right? We're not characters in his books. To the characters in the books, in the Waldo universe, he's invisible. He's a shadow.
They probably know where Waldo is.
I don't think so.
Like, hey, there's Waldo. What's
Here's
up,
the
man?
other thing. Pistachio, how many times can we say the guy's a pussy, but he is a real mama's boy, lives with his mom. Waldo's got nobody. Waldo's grown up on the streets.
Yeah.
And that hardened.
No,
There's
we don't know that.
unavoidably
No, we
hardened
don't
somebody.
know that Waldo grew up on the streets. We know that now he lives on the streets, but we don't know that he grew up on the streets. And there's a huge difference between living on the streets and growing up on the streets.
That's fair.
And again, I'll say it again. At the end of the day, Pistachio gets the job done.
But what is Waldo's job?
To not get found.
Okay,
and he
got
always
it.
gets found.
Understood.
Here's another thing that I was thinking of when you were giving your points is, you know how sometimes people are like, oh, our life's a simulation, like we're just like a computer game, like somebody's actually controlling us.
Yeah.
What if this is going to get a little crazy, but what if the world of Waldo is like real to all those people in the books?
Yes.
Like they don't know that they're just in a book.
Yeah, that's what I'm theorizing in this situation.
In that situation, nobody probably knows who Waldo is.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So he lives like even though he does all this stuff, he lives life under the radar. He doesn't like conflict.
Waldo is a curious drifter, but the avoiding conflict thing, I don't necessarily believe that. I understand where you're coming from because the fact that he keeps to himself and that he is an enigma, that he's an elusive guy, does not say to me that he's afraid of conflict, because I don't think that he's
I'm not
hiding
saying that because I'm not saying I don't think he is hiding. I don't think his intention is to hide. I think two things. I think one, he just happens to live in a universe where a lot of people wear stripes. Mm-hmm. But my thing behind he looks like somebody who would avoid conflict. I've seen him on the beach wearing a hat, a winter beanie.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody goes to
avoid conflict.
Nobody goes to the beach and wears a winter beanie if they're not a fucking weirdo.
That's true. But Waldo obviously marches to the beat of his own drum. All he's got is himself.
Yeah, but I just...
It's Waldo against the world, baby. It's Waldo against the world.
Pistachio Disguisee would not... See, but Pistachio Disguisee would come into almost every fight in the world as an underdog. And I think he even comes into this fight as an underdog. Just because he is who he is.
He's so inept.
But I think that also part of the reason he comes in this fight as an underdog is because people don't know shit about Waldo. It's like betting women's tennis. They say that you have the best chance of winning money on gambling on women's tennis because they don't pay as much attention to the lines. So when people are underdogs, a lot of times they're underdogs because when they're playing somebody who's in like the top 5 of women's tennis, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're bad. So there'll be these huge underdogs that'll win in women's tennis because they weren't actually as big as underdogs as they were bigger underdogs than they actually should have been.
Yeah, got it.
So I think that's what happens in this case is people look at Pistachio and like, this dude would lose to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Even though he's proven otherwise, but just a general rule of thumb, he would lose to anybody.
I guess at the end of the movie he does, but throughout that movie,
Yeah,
that woman
punked.
is doing all the legwork.
He definitely gets
She
punked.
solves the mystery.
No, but well, she does the hard work. She doesn't
Yeah.
necessarily solve it.
Right.
She just does the gritty stuff.
Yeah, she's the Velma of that crew.
I think that Pistachio would beat Waldo. I think that Waldo just has the characteristics of somebody who, when their fight or flight instinct kicked in, he's flight all day.
I don't get that from Waldo.
How?
I don't get that from. I don't know. Waldo, to me, he just doesn't seem like that kind of guy.
Well,
I think that Waldo. Here's another thing. I think that Waldo, if Pistachio sets him off, I think he's got a button, man. I think you can flip a switch with Waldo and Waldo go crazy and just start wailing on top of him. I think that happens, 100%.
Because people that live a life like Waldo where they just float through place to place carefree, they don't get bothered.
We don't
by
know
shit
that
like
he's carefree for sure, though. We don't know what Waldo's purpose is.
But you're saying that he is carefree. You said that.
No, I didn't say that he was carefree. I did say he was kind of drifting along.
But in my opinion,
he's also
But here,
Go ahead.
If we say that Waldo isn't carefree, that he does go to all these places, but he does so on like a my type schedule, that to me means that he is a pussy. Because that means that he's doing all this stuff, but he's too afraid to do it in a carefree manner. Like he has to have everything planned out so he knows exactly what's going to happen. And that goes back to me, thinking that he wants to shy away from conflict. Fight or flight.
I don't know, man.
Waldo's flight. The problem with this fight is that a large part of it is based off of your interpretation of who Waldo is as a person. Right. We are obviously on slightly different pages.
Yeah.
Because of that, I think that we're only ever going to settle on one thing, and that's that we're going to disagree.
Yeah.
So to lock, and it's going to be interesting to see what other people think about Waldo. This is going to be a big one that I'm curious about on social media. So please go out and vote on that.
I want to know who is Waldo.
Who is Waldo?
What is his deal? What is his purpose?